January 1943, dusk falls on the mid-Atlantic. An Allied convoy loaded with vital supplies for Britain steams through the calm seas. It is shaping up to be another uneventful night. Suddenly, there is an enormous explosion. One of the merchant ships is on fire from bow to stern. Those not trapped below leap for their lives into the frigid waters. Within minutes, it's over. The blazing hulk slips beneath the waves, another victim of Hitler's Sea Wolves. The longest, most crucial battle of World War II is reaching a climax. If German U-boats can cut this American supply line to Britain, the Allies will lose the war. In this program, we reveal the secrets of one of the most lethal military machines in history, how they hunted their prey, and how they themselves were defeated. It is a high-tech cat-and-mouse game in which both sides fight not only for victory, but for survival. The story of the Sea Wolves begins in World War I, as Germany gets off to an early start in submarine warfare. By August 1914, the German Navy possesses 28 U-boats, with 16 more under construction. A month later, they make their first kill. 3 British cruisers are sunk. And then, in May 1915, the ocean liner Lusitania is sailing from America to Britain. While off the coast of Ireland, she is targeted by a U-boat. One single torpedo, and 18 minutes later, nearly 1,200 civilian passengers drown with her, including many Americans. America, once neutral, is encouraged to join the Allied cause. The U-boat has become a weapon of terror and threatens to cut Britain's sea lanes entirely. In response, Britain adopts a convoy system. Destroyers armed with depth charges will now escort merchant ships. An underwater detection system called ASDIC is also developed that uses sound waves to hunt down submarines. But at war's end, the Versailles Peace Treaty prohibits Germany from possessing any submarines. In 1922, however, the Submarine Development Bureau of the new Imperial German Navy is secretly formed. It stays abreast of the latest developments in submarine design. Then, in 1935, Hitler rejects Allied rearmament restrictions and openly builds his force. Admiral Karl Dönitz, a submarine veteran from World War I, becomes commander of the U-boat force and develops a new strategy: the Wolf Pack. Submarines will work together to attack enemy convoys. He begins to build a fleet of advanced killing machines. But by fall 1939, only 39 of the 200 planned are operational. As war breaks out, the British Royal Navy blockades German ships crossing the North Sea. Germany retaliates. Submarines are sent to attack British merchant ships. At first, U-boats strike shipping lanes around Britain by laying mines in coastal waters. Captain Mikko recalls their impact.
I was commanding officer of U-19 in September, October 1939, and I laid mines around in a dowsing lightship in the estuary of the Humber. The mines were loaded into torpedo tubes and pushed out from the submerged boat. This operation was rather successful because on 9 mines, 3 ships were sunk.
The first casualty, the steamship Magdeburg. Just 9 days after the war begins. With coastal shipping effectively disrupted, Hitler's Sea Wolves now venture into the Atlantic to stop supplies from America. Trade is Britain's lifeblood. Without it, she cannot stay in the war. To protect themselves from U-boat attacks, British ships turn once again to the convoy system, first developed in World War I. Dozens of merchant ships sailed together, guarded by warships. To confuse pursuing submarines, they follow a zigzag route. But there aren't enough escort ships, and air cover is virtually non-existent to protect the convoys. Sheer numbers are their best defense. To track down U-boats, British escort ships rely on another World War I development, Aztec. U-boat veteran Thilo Bode recalls the dread of being detected.
The sound of the Aztec was terrifying. Ping hit your hull, and you could hear it throughout the boat. It had, one has to admit that, a disconcerting effect also on the crew, because underwater you are defenseless, you can't do a thing. And the first thing to do was to install complete silence on the U-boat, and if possible to go deeper. And there you sat, and they pinged at you, and they threw depth charges. And it was a simple question of who could stay longer, who had the better nerves. And the most experienced submarine commanders had the best nerves of the whole Navy.
These small depth charges, packed with explosives, are hurled over the side of a ship. As the canister sinks, water pressure triggers the explosive device. But Aztec is limited. It cannot tell the depth of a U-boat or detect them from where they are most likely to attack their victims, the surface. In the first 9 months of the war, the U-boats have little to fear from the Allies. And by the summer of 1940, Germany controls French ports along the Atlantic. Bomb-proof U-boat shelters are constructed up and down the coast. Packs of Sea Wolves roam the seas with little Allied opposition. Germany calls this the happy time. The middle of the Atlantic, beyond the range of available Allied aircraft, is the notorious Black Gap. There, U-boats attack without fear of airstrikes. Each U-boat is sinking approximately 5 merchant ships every month. In the first year of conflict alone, Germany sinks almost 700 merchant ships. If this continues, Britain will be strangled, deprived of food, weapons, and other essential supplies. At this time, the backbone of the German submarine force is the Type 7 U-boat. Each one carries between 11 and 14 torpedoes, called eels, with 4 torpedo tubes in the bow and 1 in the stern. Its crew of up to 56 can cruise 12,000 miles in search of prey. To protect itself on the surface, the Type 7 can deliver a formidable punch with its 88mm gun mounted on the exterior deck. When a convoy is sighted, it is shadowed at a distance. On top of the conning tower, an observer with binoculars watches for a target. He passes the information to the U-boat's commander. The commander must then determine whether he is within striking distance. Data is transmitted to a calculator in the commander's room and then passed on to indicators in the torpedo room. The crew must wait for the data to be processed. When the red lights go out and the white on, it is clear to fire. Meanwhile, the torpedo tubes are flooded, and the 25-foot-long, 3,000-pound torpedoes are greased and prepared for firing. As the U-boat goes in for the kill, the aiming officer sets the crosshairs of the master sight on the target. The commander gives the final order. Down go the firing levers, and with a jolt, the torpedoes leave the tube. Everyone falls silent. Britain must develop anti-submarine measures. New corvettes and frigates are built to fill the gap in escort vessels. But at the height of the Battle of the Atlantic, the U-boats hold a secret wild card over Great Britain. The Germans have broken the Royal Navy Code. U-boat commanders now know exactly where their victims will be. The story of this Nazi breakthrough is one of the most shocking revelations of World War II. In the first 2 years of World War II, the German U-boat menace threatens to bring Britain to its knees. Both sides communicate through coded messages. In a complex game of intelligence, the race is on to break each other's codes. At first, German U-boats suffer. They then turn on the Allies with deadly efficiency. German U-boats use a typewriter-like machine called Enigma for encrypting their messages. From 1940 on, Allied intelligence, based at Bletchley Park in England, has had some success in breaking the Enigma code of the German Army. But the German Navy uses a more complex Enigma keying system that changes from month to month. U-boat communicators employ a book of random indicators that are themselves enciphered. It is almost impossible to break. If the Allies are going to crack the secret code used by the U-boats, they must get their hands on the code book. Ian Fleming, a British intelligence officer and the future creator of James Bond, comes up with a plan. He suggests the Royal Navy use a captured German aircraft to crash into the North Sea. A German U-boat would come to rescue it. The Royal Navy would then swarm the German craft and seize the codebook. But the logistics of the attack plan make it nearly impossible to execute. Another intelligence officer, Harry Hinsley, comes up with a similar ruse. Hinsley knows the German Navy uses converted fishing vessels to collect vital weather information off the coast of Iceland. They then send back their data using Enigma machines. They are a